All right, good evening. Welcome to Playing in the Kitchen with V. So, it's been a while. Today I thought I would take a few moments and throw a new bread recipe together, actually using a bread machine. Typically, when I do make bread, I don't use a bread machine. I'm pretty new to a bread machine, but in my opinion, if you can make bread from scratch with your hands in an oven and letting it sit on the counter, then really the bread machine is easy because you throw your ingredients in there and you set it and forget it. So that's pretty simple. There's no more simple than that. But today, also another thing that I'm going to do, because typically when I use or when I make homemade bread, and I'm big on bread. I mean, I'm a big girl, so I love bread, especially fresh baked bread. But anyway, I'm old school and I use all-purpose flour. So today I'm actually going to use King Arthur bread flour because it has a higher protein content. And what I'm after is a less dense bread. Now for me, I like any bread, but light and fluffy bread is just delicious. Let's just say it. It's delicious. So, and my husband loves a light bread that's actually light and fluffy and aerated and not so compact, more and where it's tasting like a cornbread or a banana bread. You know, for light bread for a sandwich, you want it to be a light and fluffy kind of texture. So another thing I will tell you that I do not do because I'm not real picky on if my bread is perfect, but actually to measure flour correctly, you should actually sift it through a sifter first, then actually spoon that flour into your measuring cup, because it really needs air. It needs to be aerated to actually get a true measurement, because when you take it out of a bag and you don't do that, you're actually getting more compacted and you're getting more flour than what you actually think you're getting. Another thing is, if you don't have a sifter, then you can actually put it in a bowl and take a wire whisk and just whisk it. And then take that, spoon it into a cup, measuring cup. So today, my recipe is going to be basically, everything's going to be around to get that less dense bread. So already in my container down here, my little bucket. In this bucket, if you're new to making bread in the machine, you have to make sure that in the bottom you have, oh Lord, I forgot what it's called. It's like a little spatula. It's actually kind of made like two fingers really, and it sits on a prong in the middle and it will actually spin around. And that's actually what's going to mix and knead your bread, which are two important things when you're making bread. So in this, always read your recipe, because some recipes, let me explain that, recipes per your bread machine, because some bread machines want you to put your dry ingredients in first, then your wet ingredients. Mine calls for me to put my wet ingredients in first and then my dry ingredients. So what I've already got in this container is 1 cup and 3 tablespoons of water. Now, I have used warm water out of the sink. So, because we are using yeast, you do not want it to be any hotter than 110. So if you must, it's a good idea to just go ahead and grab a thermometer just to make sure, because if you're above 110, you're killing your yeast. You will not get any bread. Well, let's say you'll get bread, but it won't be what you're wanting to get. So anyways, so I have 1 cup and 3 tablespoons of warm water. I have 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can also use vegetable oil if you'd like. I have 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I have 2 tablespoons of sugar. I also have 3 cups of white bread flour and 2 tablespoons, which is 1 package of active dry yeast. So, getting back to a denser bread, and dense means not heavy, or less dense means not a heavy bread. You don't want it to be a heavy bread and thick. So there's a couple of things I've learned that help you get a lighter bread texture. First thing is a higher protein flour. Second thing is you can actually add apple cider vinegar to your mixture. You can add ginger to your mixture, which I've added. I'm doing all 3 of those things today. My recipe did not call for the apple cider vinegar or the ginger, but the recipe that I'm following actually did suggest that you can use actually multiple things to actually get a less dense bread. So that's what we're trying, because my goal is to get a bread that is like light bread for sandwiches, something that my husband can enjoy making a sandwich out of, and it'll be just like a store-bought, but hopefully taste a whole lot better and better quality. So now, again, I've put all my wet ingredients in. I have put all of my dry on top of my wet. Very important when you're using yeast, make you a pocket in your flour. See my yeast sitting right in the middle right there? So I made a little pocket in my flour and I poured my yeast in the middle in that pocket. So what happens is that once that little paddle starts doing its thing, then it's going to mix all that, and then it's going to actually mix in the yeast last, so it gets incorporated, and it'll allow that yeast to start working with the warm batter that it's just created. So we've got everything ready. So what I am going to do is I'm going to use a 1.5 pound loaf and a medium crust. And I'm going to bring you over here and see if I can show you this. Now, I don't have no big snazzy, dazzy bread machine. I try to be pretty thrifty, and sometimes I find some good deals at the Mountain Mission or Goodwill's. I like to go junking sometimes. So here, if you can see this, I hope you can see this. I'm going to use the number 5, which is 1.5 pound basic light. That's the setting we're going to use. So we're going to actually just pop that baby in there. We're going to lock it down. So when you put this in there, you're actually going to just stick it down in the machine and kind of make sure it clicks. And that's it. You'll push your button, you'll hit start, and you will walk away. So give me just a moment while I do that. All right, so can you hear it? Right now it's doing its little mixing for about 2 minutes, and then it's going to start doing some kneading. So, I took a little hiatus from my channel for a little bit. I had issues with my vocals, and I needed a little vocal rest. to get me back where I needed to be, all because really not took care of myself vocally. I just pretty much winged it, even if I was sick or whatever, and I'm a heavy coffee drinker. So anyway, I think I'm back on track, and so I wanted to get back on to making and creating, because that's what we like to do. So hopefully you will enjoy this recipe. Oh, it's doing its thing. So if you enjoy the recipe, if you like the video, by all means give us a like, subscribe. You have to like us, and you don't really got to subscribe, but you really need to like us in order for us to stay in the algorithm where other people can actually view. So I would really appreciate it. Also, I want to remind you that when you're using your bread machine, a lot of people don't take this into consideration. And I guess the other thing is when you're using your bread machine, you don't really have to take it into consideration. But if you're making homemade bread at home from scratch and you are not using a bread machine, like today, it's 45 degrees outside here in Kentucky, okay? Not warm. So when you're trying to make a room that is going to proof your dough for you, you've got to take consideration the inside temp, your outside temp, and try to create a warm, moist environment. Typically, I do that with a dryer on, which now I can't do that because my dryer's a little different. I have a all-in-one ventless. So now what I do is I actually use my stove, my oven, and actually my oven has a warming plate on it, on the top. So a lot of times I will set my bowl over to the side and just drape a towel over it to get a little bit of warmth. I'll cut it down as low as it can and get a little warmth. So you can try something like that, or putting water in a pan in your oven and put it on its lowest setting. But you got to watch, because like mine only goes down to 200, and so that could actually be a little too warm, depending on how thick your bread is, your bread mixture. So anyway, keep that in mind. So I will come back in just a moment and play you a little ditty, and then we'll come back and I will show the results. I believe it's going to take about 3 hours and 15 minutes. So it'll be, for you, it won't be no time. So, but that will generally be how long it's going to take this machine to mix, knead, proof, and bake our bread. So I will be right back. All right, guys, so our bread is still doing its thing. And I am going to step over here and kill that for a moment. Sorry, I always like to multitask, and that can be a problem. Anyway, so I'm going to play you a little tune while we wait. A little something to entertain your eyeballs and ears with. Again, I hope this comes off well. I'm going to try to hurry up before my dogs start doing their thing. Another head hangs slowly, child is slowly taken, and the violence caused such silence. Who are we mistaken? But you see, it's not me, it's not my head, in your head. They are fighting with their tanks and their bombs and their bombs and their guns. In your head, in your head. They are crying in your head, in your head. Zombie, 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 what's in your head? In your head, zombie, zombie. Apparently that's all you're getting. So, because I really don't want to cut it because that's actually funny as all get out. Was you trying to sing with Mommy? You was, wasn't you? I was trying to sing. All right, cut it out. No bark. No bark. Typically.
He sang for a minute.
Huh?
He sang for a second.
Yeah, he sang for a second. That's actually how, a lot of people don't know this, but we got Ollie a couple of months ago at Law County Animal Shelter. Took me 2 hours to talk him in and persuade him to come home with me. He was in really bad shape, but he stayed outside for was it a whole day he stayed outside?
Couple days.
Actually, I think it was more like 2 days. He would not come in the house, and it was cold outside, and I was terrified. And of course, I know dogs survive all the time outside the cold. Hush, we got him in November. Good boy, no bark. And we're trying to teach him things. But anyway, Scott was here one day while I was at work and turned on Miley Cyrus and left the door open, and he just walked right on in and sat down and looked right at the big screen TV and sat there and listened to Miley Cyrus. And I was like, you know what, I'm not a big Miley Cyrus fan, but apparently I made a good decision because the dog liked music and we love music, so he fits in well, other than interrupting his mother trying to sing. So maybe I can teach him to sing, who knows. But anyway, so that's a little session of that, and I will be right back and we'll get you some results on this light and fluffy bread. All right, guys, so welcome back. Our product is done. I've just taken it out of the bread machine. I've got a plate down here and I'm just shaking it to try to get it out without messing up a pretty loaf. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm trying to work as fast as I can. So my t-shirt is donated by Silver Eagle, which is in Mount Vernon, Kentucky. If you're looking for a great place that has awesome music, the largest dance floor in Kentucky, great concession food and cold drinks, friendly bunch of people. They love to dance. Silver Eagle. So check them out. They're right before you get actually to Renfro Valley. So anyway, let me get to this real quick. We'll turn you down right here. And my bread. If you can see that very, very, very good. Get some butter to this bread. So we're going to cut into this. Let's see. My Ollie's got up again. Did you smell that bread, baby? Okay, so if this don't turn out light and dense, a little bit too early to tell. I don't know. Then we'll have to let it cool to see, actually. But the next video that I will do about white light bread for a bread machine will actually be, the recipe will be around using everything that helps create a light, dense bread. So thank you guys. Please give me a like and subscribe. Remember, that's how I stay in the algorithm so that everybody can view. So thank you guys. If you've tried this and you've tweaked anything, by all means, let me know down in the comments. Thank you again. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.